Hello, Austin, Texas. You're watching the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, where we bring money and real estate together for your education and entertainment. This segment is brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. If you want to reach out to us, the QR code is an amazing place to go. You can also give us a call at 855-299-HOME or loansfromtroy.com. And so today, we have a returning guest, which I'm very excited about. We have a founding partner of Realty of America, Victor Niño.
Hey, sir.
Yes. Thanks so much I know you're super busy. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to kind of stop and help us kind of give some information out there so that, our audience kind of knows what's happening, what's going on, because the real estate world is ever evolving.
Of course.
And speaking about evolving, I mean, we're coming, a year and a half now since the NAR settlement, or just,
Yes,
it's
sir.
been a year and a half since the NAR stands for the National Association of Realtors.
Yes, sir.
They were sued. I mean, it sounds like a bad word, but it's just part of America. And so now the rules have changed.
Yes, sir.
And so now the buyer has to agree on how they're paying their commission is not the word, but they're paying for the services.
The
Their
fee of having
yeah.
a professional guide them through the
Yes.
process. And the reality is this, there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it is just really not even accurate.
Yes.
So this is really what changed. What changed is that before, whenever a realtor would show a property, that realtor knew how much the seller was willing to pay a buyer's agent compensation. Okay. Now it's nowhere to be found. Some realtors will call the listing agent and say, hey, how much is your client willing to pay? And they ask that. Others will just go ahead and submit an offer based on whatever agreement they have with the buyer. But the biggest thing, and the thing that affects the transaction the most, is that now it has to be in writing how much that buyer's agent is charging as a professional fee in guiding someone. Now, it doesn't mean that the buyer has to pay for it, but whatever amount is the amount that they agree to, if it's not covered by the seller, then the buyer would be responsible for it. And that's why it's so important to work with someone that has the ability and the skills to negotiate that fee along with closing costs. Because imagine if we can get a buyer to get extra money from the seller to buy down their rate and make obviously the loan much better for that individual person. So not all agents are the same, and it's very important to work with someone with experience.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're able to get that initial investment of the down payment, some of the closing costs, whatever it may be, covered by the seller, your initial investment's lower. So therefore, your return later on down the road can be much greater.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why negotiating, skills are so critical, especially in today's market.
Oh, I've been saying this for about a year, that a professional in our industry is more important now than it's ever been.
Of course.
I think in being where we are, we do see a lot of, and I don't want to say just inexperienced, I guess it's
Of course.
inexperienced contracts come through that, hey, everyone pays title in this market. Why is my buyer having to pay title?
Exactly.
And those sort of things that if you're not working with the right person, or that person doesn't understand the market, one of the biggest things I see that's an issue is that someone will use a relative that's not from here to come down and help them negotiate. And so that relative who's in the business or whatever in another state or something doesn't understand how Texas works, doesn't understand, our title policies are more expensive than other states. So that's why it almost always it becomes the seller's responsibility as far as in the contract. But not knowing that, they don't ask for it. And once the contract's signed and it's a commitment, it's a binding contract.
Of course. Of course.
What are some of the biggest mistakes with the new laws and stuff like that that you're seeing, or errors, I guess is a better way?
Well, mistakes, the problem that I see is that there's still a lot of realtors that are not respecting the new rules. And now it is absolutely mandatory to have something in writing stating that we are going to be working together. So if Colton's a client that I'm going to be working with, we need to have something in writing saying I am his agent. And it also needs to include how much I'm going to earn. The thing is this, that there's so many agents that are still either unaware or not willing to follow the rules. Either way, it's bad. And they will start showing homes without that document. And that's a big no-no. And the thing that clients need to ask themselves, or consumers need to ask themselves, is, do I want to work with a professional or not? And if they want to work with a professional, then there has to be something in writing. And if it's not in writing, then guess what? It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't get respected. So the thing is that you want to make sure that you're working with someone that has the fortitude to tell you what needs to be done, right? Because that's what a professional will do when helping somebody go through the process. And of course, with that clarity is also making sure that that person's going to have the ability to put you in contact with other professionals that are going to help you, because not all lenders are the same. I mean, my God, there's situations where somebody says, hey, I've already been approved. And then I ask them, well, how much of the paperwork did you already send? Oh, I haven't sent them anything. Well, how do you know you're approved? And can you please send me the email where they confirmed that they were going to give you X, Y, and Z as a rate or whatever? And a lot of times they just don't know any better. So it is our job as a professional, as a realtor, to protect them and making sure that they're going to make the right decision, whether it's inspections, whether it's a loan, whether it's home warranties, you name it. Our job is to guide them through the process.
Yeah, because on our pre-approval sheet, we have to check off, yes, we've looked at income. Yes, we've looked at assets. Yes, we've looked at credit. All of that whole package has to be approved. So whenever you're sending that over to a listing agent, that sets you apart as a buyer, in my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
Something going
And
with
to me, I'll tell you this. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where sometimes people value money more than expertise or a relationship. And the reality is this: you can go online and go find a lender, and you always speak with someone different. They don't have to worry about saving face if they make a mistake, because guess what? They get thousands of applications. So they mess up with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect their business. But whenever you work with someone where you actually meet the individual, they want to make sure that they do a great job, because they understand that if they don't do their work, guess what? There's going to be a blemish in their image, not just to themselves in the eyes of the consumer, but also the agents that are involved. And the last thing we want is for somebody to go under contract, spend money on inspections, spend money on appraisals, only to come to the conclusion that that lender didn't do their job. And guess what? There is no loan that's going to be approved. And I'm so sorry you got excited and you were already, calling the U-Haul or the movers. And guess what? You are not getting keys. Why? Because you decided to work with someone that was just the cheapest and not somebody that you could actually trust that they were going to go ahead and fulfill what they said they were going to do.
Yeah, and it's not a good feeling whenever someone gets that deep into a loan.
Of course.
They're out the money already. They can't get their earnest back. They've paid for the appraisal, whatever it may be. They're out that money, and it is your fault as the lender. It's not a good feeling.
And not only that, but just think about it. Mentally, they've already said, hey, the kids are going to be here. They've already told their friends. Imagine that.
Yeah.
They told their cousin that doesn't really like them, and they're like, yeah, I'm buying a house finally. And then they don't get to the house.
Come to the house.
They're like, he couldn't afford it. Think about it. That probably hurts more than the money.
Yeah, I agree.
Every Christmas, they're going to have to hear about that from their yes. Absolutely. And that's bringing that's one of the things people don't understand, that Texas, the state of Texas, is very specific on our letters, right? They have to have X, Y, and Z in it. There's two terminologies. There's a prequalification and there's a pre-approval.
Yes, sir.
Prequalification means that something like Colton and myself, we collected, we did or didn't collect the docs. We document yes or no. And then we did everything. Pre-approval means that we took that packet and we submitted it to underwriting. An underwriter has reviewed credit, income, and assets.
Of course.
So a pre-approval is basically a pre-underwrite is the best way to understand that. And it's a big difference. People don't do it a lot because you're taking up time from underwriting, and everybody's working at minimum, the perfect amount of employees right now and things like that. So there's not a lot of them being done like they were being done before, but it is not that much work, and it is a big difference.
Oh yeah, and the thing is this, like for me, I always make sure that I make time to actually have a conversation with whoever says, hey, I'm interested in buying. And we actually sit down and go through all the details of what it takes from A to Z so that they can buy a house. So they're never in the dark. And one of the things I always tell people is this: you're getting a loan and someone's going to let you borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, they're going to ask for information. And guess what? They might lose some information. Have it handy so you can give it to them. The other thing, be transparent and be honest. Because if you tell the lender that it's X, Y, and Z, and it's really something else, then guess what? You've already given them false information.
They will
so how can they approve? How can you make them say like, hey, you know what, you told me this. Well, yeah, because you told me something different.
Correct.
Now that I know that you co-signed for your cousin on that pickup truck, then guess what?
Yeah.
Or that you opened this account at a furniture store and there's no payments for 30 years, but it's still on your credit, right? You know how they have those
Yes.
President's Day
That
and it's
happens
like
all the
Labor
time.
Day.
Oh,
you
those
name it.
furniture places, they definitely try and get you on that. Oh, it won't
Exactly.
show up on a credit. Yes, it
Yes.
will.
Well, let me ask you this. What are some things that you give advice on to clients when they say, hey, I'm ready to buy. I'm interested in buying. What are the no-nos? Like, obviously, don't go get a new car. Don't co-sign for anybody. But what are some other things that you think people overlook?
Yeah, we call it the do's and don'ts list.
Yeah.
And we send it out to every client, even if they bought 10 houses. And,
Yes.
you know, the do's are not as important as the don'ts.
Yes.
The don't is definitely don't take out any new credit. Don't add any, you know, don't no large purchases. So, you know, like you said, I'm not going to open a new account. I'll just put it on my credit card. Well, if for some reason, because of whatever, we have to pull a new credit report, that will affect your score.
Oh, yeah.
Don't miss the minimum payments.
Yes.
I don't know how many times over 25 years that I've had to give bad news for not paying a $25 payment. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, you were late on your $25 minimum payment credit card 6 months ago and your score dropped 200 points, you know?
Yes.
I mean, that's amazingly important.
Another thing I cover with people, I say this: do not close any accounts, because sometimes, you know, it seems like common sense. Like, hey, you know what? I have this credit card. I haven't used it in 3 years. I'm buying a house. Let me just close it. And how does that affect rate?
So you lose all of, so credit cards and installment loans are different because credit cards are what we call revolving. The longer you've owned the credit card with good history, the more it scores. So a zero balance credit card for 3 years is an amazing credit card. It's giving you great points. So if you were to close something like that out, man, I mean, you'd lose a lot of points depending on the rest of your
and think about it. If we don't cover that, then guess what?
They don't know.
They could do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and it seems silly to most consumers. Like, really, I'm not even using it.
Yeah.
But it does affect.
Absolutely.
Credit kind of has a mind of its own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it does. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it. I know you're super busy. If they wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Best way to contact me is victorniño.com, NINO.
Perfect. So, hey, this segment has been brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. Hey, so in the next 30 seconds or so, we're about to have a bunch of featured listings for the local area of Austin. You know, if you find one you like, click that QR code. And if you do purchase any of those listings and you use us from financing, we will give you 1% off your interest rate for the first year at no charge to you. And we'll be right back. Welcome back, Austin, Texas, to the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, and of course, our esteemed guest, Victor Niño, the founding partner of Realty America. This segment's going to be brought to you by Security National Mortgage, where we turn houses into homes by financing your American dream. You can reach out to us at the QR code, which is kind of the new cool thing. And of course, if you're looking for me, the gray beard will tell you 855-299-HOME or loansfromtroy.com. And so this is in the second segment, we always like to talk about understanding money. It's very important to me. I tell everybody every week how, you know, being raised, my parents had no concept of investing money or anything like that. So I learned it at a late age. And so I'm trying to make sure that people, the sooner I can help somebody learn this, the quicker. You know, and one of the things I think people need to understand, it's making its way around. I see it a lot, but one of the things I think people need to understand is time in the market is more important than anything else. You know, and in everything, and in real estate and investing, things like that. Compound interest is a big term. It's really the word of the day out there on all my social media fields. Algorithms, they know I like that stuff, so I get a bunch of it, and everybody seems to be preaching it. $100 a month in your early 20s in an investment account, it's almost 2 million. I'm trying to think of the exact number, but to get that same return in your 40s, it's like $3,800 a month. And so you can start with 100 when you're young and never have to change, and you can retire very comfortably. And that's what people need to understand. Investing like into other stuff, things like that, how to invest, it's a little bit longer of a deal. I think, ETFs are the way to go. Anything that mirrors the S&P. I'm not giving you anything to do, but anything that mirrors the S&P, because the S&P is at 11% historically,
Yeah.
11%, right? And that rule of 7 means that your money doubles at 7% every 7 years. So at 11%, your money's probably doubling every 4.5 to 5 years. But discipline, make it automatic so that your feelings don't get in the way. And when the best time to buy into the market is when it makes you sick at your stomach to look at it.
Yeah. Buy low, sell high,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff, puts, calls. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. We did just have, back in April, we had a huge dip in the market, right? And
the stock market?
In the stock market, huge. Yeah, huge. 35% in a matter of like 3 days. And so my wife was coming home talking to people. She works at a hospital, so all of them are, most of them are educated, have degrees, been to school, things like that. So, but they're like, oh, we got to sell. And so my wife comes home, hey, when are we going to sell everything? I'm like, what are you talking about? We're like a day or two from buying in. She's like, what? I go, yeah. I go, I think we're about to jump all in again, and sure enough, the market's come up 22% before the fall. So it fell 30%, and now it's 22% more than when it started. So that's 50% rebound. But emotions get in the way. So that's why you make it automatic. It's $100 a month. You don't look at it, and you just move forward. And it's that simple. If you want to understand ETFs and things like that, that's a longer conversation. QR code, 855-299-HOME or Loans from Troy. Reach out to me. We'll set up an interview. We'll go over it. I'll explain it all. It's a lot more simple than you think it is. It's just that fear of the unknown that holds you back.
And he likes talking about money just as much as he likes talking about real estate and mortgage. So
yes, the biggest question I always get is which one's better, right? The stock market or real estate? And I say both. I own rental homes. I own stocks. I've been doing this for decades. Things have all, in the last 5 years or so, things have all kind of just set into place. But before 5 years from then, it wasn't. That compound finally rolled over to something that was exciting. And so, you had said, one of the things we were talking about, you purchased your first home at $80,000. You sold it years later, $400,000. You use that to buy investment. And so that's a great investment.
Exactly.
I talk a lot to people about how to get started investing in homes. Our industry has rules and things like that. So you're not, by doing this, I don't think you're evading or avoiding or anything like the rules. I think you're working the rules to the way they're being worked. I started investing by buying a house that needed work. So I bought a house below market value. It needed work. I lived in it. I fixed it up. I did all the work myself. And then once I got around 2 years, I sold it, took that money, bought another house. The first one was like down payment assistance types program, high rates, all that. The second one was cash down, so I got better. I did the same thing. But this time when I sold that house, I took that money and I bought an investment property, and then I bought a primary residence. So I split that money in half and bought 2 homes the second time. And then
that's just building your portfolio.
Just building the portfolio, but it takes time, because you need the money to start, right? So I think starting at, a lot of people want, oh, this is a home forever. It's very seldom is it the forever home, but people want to say that for some reason. Buy that house. I look at homes as an investment tool, not a place to live. I just now, when I moved out there in 2021, that became a home to me. But up until then, they'd always been an investment tool. Every house I bought. So I took care of it. I did most of the work myself, and then I sold it, or I kept it, rented it out. and then moved on to another primary residence. So primary residence as opposed to investment, the interest rates are lower, the down payment's lower, the qualifications are lower. So an investment, they're a lot more stringent. So if you keep the home and then rent it out and buy another primary, it's less money out of your pocket. But you can't do that too often. They don't want you using that. So we're talking 1.5 to 2 years is kind of that area where you need to live in it before you try to buy another primary. And as long as you do that, you can keep moving from that primary to primary to primary. But you do have to, when the new one you're buying does need to be your primary. A lot of people kind of want to, no, that's not a good way to go. The industry's too smart now. So it's very important. I mean, have you, about your success in that, how have you done it?
Yeah, so investing in the market is one thing. The other thing is investing in real estate. I remember buying my first house. I was 19. I rented out 2 rooms. I was practically living for free, paying $90 a month. Fast forward a couple of years, I ended up buying a duplex, and then I was in the green. And I'll tell you, ever since then, I have not had to pay out of my pocket to have a roof over my head, even today. Why? Because the investments kept growing. And the thing is this, if we want to have different results, we got to do things that most people are not willing to do, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, I know that when I first started, it was just a couple $100s, and sometimes we would lose money, right? But the thing is, if we exercise, delayed gratification, and we're able to put it in something that's going to grow, eventually it turns out to be really, really profitable.
There's also a statistic that homeowners, our average net worth is over 300 grand, whereas renters' average net worth is around 10 grand.
Exactly.
So owning a home, it is the
like
American
30 times
dream.
more.
Yeah, it is the American dream.
But the worst mistake a homeowner can make is just own one. The best thing is to own multiple ones, because guess what? Earlier we were saying that homes appreciate 4%. So imagine if you have a portfolio of $5 million. What's 4% of $5 million?
400 grand.
Year over year over year. It's like a snowball effect that keeps getting better. But the other investment that most people never talk about is the investing in our mind. Investing in our mind, because we could be one idea away from making millions of dollars. The other thing is investing in relationships, because sometimes we're a relationship away from something that could be very profitable and can change the trajectory of our life.
Because you yourself, co-founder, you have relationships with those other founders to start this business that you're currently doing.
Yeah, I'm one of the founding partners, and I got lucky because of all the conferences I went to, and of course all the success I've had because of doing good business and the amount of business we've done. It opened the door for something like this, and I'll tell you, that's going to be very fruitful.
Yeah, I would tell you that I got lucky. If anybody ever tells me that, to me, that means that they work really hard.
Oh, of course.
I think the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Laboring in the correct knowledge.
It's funny. People want to lower the concept of how hard they've worked by saying I got lucky. No, you put yourself in the right spot, and you were paying attention and to an opportunity. Your mind was open for an opportunity, and that's how you got lucky.
Oh yeah, and I always say this is like, how often are you looking for the opportunity that's going to change your life? And if you stop searching, then guess what? It's not going to fall in your lap.
Yep. Yeah, another book, The Secret, talks about that too. If your mind's set on something, you notice it. If it's not set on it, you don't notice it. And if you're not thinking opportunity, it's walk right in front of you and you never notice it because you're not.
It's like when you
focus on expand.
Yes, it's like when you start thinking about buying a Jeep or something like that. You see Jeeps everywhere as you're driving.
I know, right?
There's 10,000 of them now that you're looking for them when they weren't there before. So.
Yes, that's true.
Yep. And so, like I said, if your monthly budget is too tight, cut off in those areas where you can cut off the Netflix, cut off all those streaming services, and cut out the art, and take that money and then use that to get an opportunity.
And take that time you were using on that to go make money.
Yes.
Well, what I'm about to say might sound harsh to a lot of people, but I heard this a long time ago. And it was this. It says, if you are not financially where you want to be right now, and you're watching the game or you're spending time watching movies in this, just shut it off and go make that purse. Once you got it all situated, then now you can have a little bit more fun.
Right.
Now, most people are not willing to do that. And of course, everybody gets to live their life however they want. But whatever we're experiencing today in our life is just an accumulation of prior decisions we've made.
Yeah, it's funny. People look at me today, and that's what Colton
Consider the Troy I know.
Yeah. No. Very frugal, didn't waste money, did all that stuff.
Yes.
But once I got to a point to where now it's like I've worked hard for 30 years.
Yes.
Now I want to enjoy that hard work.
Oh, of
So it's
course.
different, you know.
Yeah, there's different stages and different chapters of life, right?
Yeah, it's not get rich quick. It's get rich slow, but it's get rich.
I call real estate investing is get rich for sure,
For sure.
but it's slow.
Yeah, and yes, you know, build that portfolio. It may take you 10 years to build that portfolio, and then it may take you 10 more years to, you know, really recognize the gains of it. But after that, it's golden.
Oh,
It's
of course.
golden. Hey, so thank you so much for coming out today. We appreciate all the knowledge you've given us, especially in the real estate investment. I mean, you're an expert, and so we appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
You've been watching the Home Team 512 with Troy and Colton, and of course, Victor Niño. If you want to reach out to him, it is victorniño.com. That's N-I-N-O for you non-Texans. You can reach out to us at our QR code. You can also give us a call at 855-299-HOME or loansfromtroy.com. Okay, so what you're about to see is our featured listings for the greater Austin area. If you select the QR code and you pick any of those homes that show up on it and you purchase those homes and use us for financing, we will give you 1% off the interest rate for the first year at no cost to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.